There we go. I'm sorry. I was on and wasn't prepared or whatever the case might be. I couldn't find my camera. I knew it was on. But anyway, this is Neil Douglas and this is American Truth Finders, and I want to welcome you. I hope that you will be able to join me tonight. And for those of you who join, I want you to, by all means, make your comments. Make your comments. I want to make sure if I'm live, what I mean by that. If anybody is viewing, can you tell me? I want to make sure that I've got it on public view, because that's the important thing. If I have it on private view, nobody can see. Anyway, somebody comment, say hello, wave, do something. Our topic tonight is going to be the virus, of course, the vaccine, and the CDC. The CDC, I'm going to tell you, is this week, as a matter of fact, the 29th of August, came out with a new statistic number that is surprising me. And I think it surprised a lot of people, although a lot of people did believe that. Hey, Judy Whiting, I'm glad you made it. I'm welcome aboard. Tonight we're going to be discussing, as I said, the coronavirus, the vaccine, and the sudden change in the numbers of the CDC numbers. And what is the reason behind all of this? Also, we're going to talk a little bit about the White House, or the administration, I should say, did, in fact, change their the way that reporting was done as far as the deaths. And I'm going to, or the coronavirus, I should say, the coronavirus cases. The White House took that middleman away. The CDC was the middleman. So the White House, or the administration, let me rephrase that to make sure that we get the right department of the administration, said, look, the CDC, it's taking too long to get the proper information and who's sick, who's not sick from one state to another. So by going directly, and this would make it simpler and easier. And all of a sudden, last week on the 29th of August, just 4 days ago, the CDC came up with brand new numbers of what many of my friends and my viewers have talked about, that the numbers could not possibly be correct. And we're going to go over some of those numbers, and I'm going to explain to you. I'm not going to go over all of them, of course. I'm not going to go through every month. I'm going to mainly just go through the first month and the last month, from February and then August, or maybe even September, or at the beginning of September. I'm not sure how it goes. But for the most part, the CDC the administration took the instructing of the CDC away. They had to get rid of them as the middleman, because the data was not getting out on time. And I think a lot of that may have been, I can't prove that for certain, but it may have been because of the daily briefings were not up to date, and they seemed to be tremendously high. And of course, a lot of people who were maybe not a Trump fan, or whatever the case might be. Hi, Lori Colorado. I'm glad you could make it. Good evening. We're on the topic of the vaccine and the CDC, and of course the numbers, and we're talking about the virus itself. And forgive me if my throat is bad because I've had so much drainage from allergies or sinuses again. And I did take an allergy pill, by the way. I know that Evelyn is watching from the Philippines. She's just a little shy about saying hi, but I do want to say hello to her and thank you for watching. Anyway, getting back, this goes back to July 15th of this year that the administration said that, hospitals should no longer have to report the COVID information to the National Health Society network. That was according to the Department of Health and Human Services. They are the ones that said in a document providing guidelines for hospitals as to how to submit coronavirus data. And when I go to the numbers, I think you'll be surprised of how they did the numbers. Well, the CDC suddenly, all of a sudden, came out with new numbers. So where did they get them? When they were cut out as the middleman, where did they get them? Now, the National Healthcare Safety Network, that's the NHSN, excuse me. They're managed by the CDC. And so the Kaiser Family Foundation told CBS that the CDC has historically been the respiratory for the health data and analysts, and has also played this role for collecting COVID hospital data. Well, the CDC plays a critical role, according to this article, as the nation's public health agency in analyzing the data and making it available. Now, a key question is how would the CDC involved in going forward? The administration said that it's changing the way data is being reported because it's trying to streamline. It's trying to streamline the process. Well, that makes a lot of sense to me. To get the knowledge out faster and get the numbers out faster and get the numbers out much quicker. So it's reported that that stating that they are many separate government entities asking for duplicate information. And this is according to guidance issued by the White House coronavirus task. So they were involved. The coronavirus task was involved with the Trump administration changing the CDC's position. Now, this may or may not mean much to you, but it should, because we have been running around with fear. We've been running around with fear, and we've been running around with the fact that we have to wear masks all the time, I'm not putting anybody down for wearing a mask, but the fear factor is what I'm concerned about, and I'm going to get into that because of the fact of the numbers that they reported as coronavirus versus the actual numbers that caused by whatever, So the Homeland Security and CDC use the data differently, while the Homeland Security has been using it to evaluate supply needs. Okay. And the leader or the director of the CDC says it utilizes it to emphasize or to analyze trends across the country and by state. Well, they do. They do get their information state by state, but what's happening is they weren't getting it out to the people. Excuse me. I told you I had some allergy information. Again, but now, when you look at the reporting that went on, the New York Times, for instance, said the Trump administration has prepared hospitals to surpass or bypass the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention and send all COVID patient information to a central database in Washington beginning on Wednesday, and that was back in July. The move has alarmed health experts for fear that data will be polarized and withheld from the public. Okay, now this is the New York Times reporting this. So what now? Was this a way of hiding the numbers? I don't think so. I think really what happened. Now I'm just going to according to my opinion. I want you to give me your opinion, and please do, because I don't want to miss anybody's thoughts. According to the Hill, the White House tells hospitals to bypass CDC on reporting data. Hospitals will begin sending coronavirus related information directly to the Department of Health and Human Services, and they go on to talk about when it would start. The Washington Post sent a letter to the nation's governors, say that the National Guard should help improve hospitals' data. So there's so many people that were involved, so many different areas. Bob Furden, good evening. What a week is right, buddy. Besides the topic we got tonight, we got more that I'm going to get into in probably a few days. We're going to get into a couple of things. I do want to get into the violence that's going on still in the country, and with an election coming up, regardless of what parties you people believe in or support, there's so much violence something's got to be done. We're going to do a show on that. We're also going to continue to do a show on the mail-in voting and what are the possibilities. Do you trust it or do you not trust it? And we're going to talk about that on another show. I've already talked about it a few nights ago. But anyway, getting back to this CDC thing where the administration took it away from CDC so that hospitals could report directly to the White House or to the task force, because it slowed the information down. Now, hurricanes get old. Bob, I got to ask you a little question. Every once in a while, you come up with a good one. I want to know something. Are you a stand-up comedian by any chance? You make some good ones. Bob also says CDC is a criminal gang. See, this is why I'm saying, giving you this information, because all of a sudden, as we all know, or I think you do, the CDC came out with a report on August 30th, 4 days ago. I think it was that's right, 4 days ago. Says that they released that they released a new data last week that depicts how many Americans have died from COVID and also had contributing conditions. According to the report, only 6%, and I know that you know this because Bob, you even reported it. I saw your post. And I think maybe, I'm not sure, but I think that Judy Whiting may have reported it. But the point is, Bob goes on to say, liars and scum, white coats, nurses are in order. Well, you know what? The thing of it is, I'm looking at the agencies at this point, and Bob, I'm concerned that we have been deceived in many ways. And when I say Bob, I'm actually referring to all of you that are watching right now. And I hope you'll share this so that we can get other people involved, because look, I don't want to have to read all night long. I want your opinions. And it's not that I don't like to read. It's the fact of the matter is, it's more important for you to, yes, you did, Judy. I thought you did. So thank you for that. I don't want to bore you with something you already know, but I want to get to the bottom line. Okay, that's what this is all about. And for those of you just joining me, thank you for joining and welcome aboard. We're talking about the CDC's new report that 6% basically of people have died of COVID. Now, according to the report, when I said the 6% of the deaths are COVID, is only the only cause mentioned, revealing that 94% of the patients who died from coronavirus had other health conditions and contributing causes. Now, I am going to read you those causes, which definitely many people do have these underlying conditions, but they weren't caused by, they may have gotten the virus because of it, but it wasn't the virus that killed them, or vice versa. We're going to get to that, so we'll clear it up. Bob Freuden says it's all about depopulation and control from the population. Now, that goes back to what we talked about before, Bob, that Bill Gates and his depopulating and his getting involved with vaccinations and what business. Doris Roberts, how are you? Oh, thank you so much for joining. I'm glad you could make it. We're right now. I'm on the part where the Bob says hospitals get no money. Actually, they get more money. Yeah, if it's a COVID death, that's my understanding, and that's what I've been reading. And I don't have that particular information proof in front of me, but I do someplace in my stack of papers here. So anyway, to get back to what I was talking about, all right, the report that the CDC put out says Table 3 shows the types of health conditions contributing causes mentioned in conjunction with deaths involving coronavirus disease for 6% of the deaths. Okay, and it was the only cause mentioned for deaths with the conditions of causes, to the COVID-19. On average, were 2.6 additional conditions or causes of death. Well, I'm not sure what they mean by that, but here's what they're saying. They're saying influenza and pneumonia. But we know that pneumonia is a part of the COVID. And we know that the flu is part of the COVID. They said respiratory failure, hypertensive disease, diabetes, vascular and unspecified dementia, cardiac arrest, heart failure, renal failure, intentional and unintentional injury, poisoning, and other adverse events, other medical conditions. Now, this is a global coronavirus cases, now top 25 million, according to this article. Now, the CDC goes on to explain that their data uses provisional death counts to deliver the most complete and accurate picture of lives lost to COVID-19. Well, guess what? I don't believe they did that. They were not doing that. If that's the case, why would they now all of a sudden come out with, what, all these deaths we've been telling you about, there's only really 6% of them. Well, 1% is too many. But the fact that we have been scared, we have been programmed to get scared. We've been programmed that if we don't wear a mask, that you're going to die, or you're going to give somebody else the coronavirus. We've been programmed to think that we have to distance ourselves. Now, I noticed something today, and I don't want to get into politics, but I got to notice something. Whenever President Trump has mentioned, you see something else say where he didn't have a mask on, or he didn't, he shook hands or did whatever the case might have been. I did notice that today, his opponent, Joe Biden, actually shook somebody's hand. Now that one shocked me because I thought he was almost like, had to wash his hands every time or keep his mask on, even in his basement, afraid that he was going to give himself the virus. I'm not picking on him. I'm making it kind of like a joke, but the fact of the matter is, he really did shake someone's hand when he went to Kenosha, Wisconsin. Whereas that's not going to make news. That's not going to be. But if Trump would have shook hands with somebody, it would have made tremendous news. And then I'm not, again, look, if you're a Democrat or liberal or whatever, I'm not picking on you or your candidate. I'm just saying it is media. Media has hyped this to the point where they've gotten so afraid because of things like what the CDC has done. Doris Roberts says they just want to keep us a prisoner. Well, I think that's what's happened, Doris, by this scare tactic. That's a terrible word, but it really is a scare tactic. The CDC, when I said it goes on, they want to give a complete and accurate data. Well, they didn't. These numbers are based on death certificates, which the organization says the most reliable source of death. Death certificates reportedly contain information that is not available anywhere, and includes the comorbid conditions, race, and ethnicity, and place of and the place of health. Well, look, if how many death certificates are have ended up as coronavirus that really were not coronavirus, but it was a car accident. But because maybe they had tested previously to coronavirus, they said it's coronavirus that killed them, not the car accident. I've said that so many times in the past, you guys are probably tired of hearing it. Let me go to Bob. The numbers are pointless. No matter how you look at this scam, the test does not identify COVID, which, by the way, stands for Certificate of Vaccination ID. You know, I've heard this and I've read this and I've tried to check into it, and it seems to keep coming up to the same thing, which is, I'm wondering if that's not part of the vaccine, that would be the identification, Bob. I could be wrong. Do not take the test, although many have been diagnosed with COVID, even getting a test. Let me click that on. It's all BS, and heads should be rolling. Well, see, I have to agree. I think heads should have been rolling a long time ago, and I'm tired of hearing the fact, and I'm just going to tell you like it is, because I don't care who the president is, whether it would have been Obama, Biden, Bush, Trump, whoever. A president does not cause all these deaths. When are people going to wake up? I mean, get off the couch potato thing and do some research. I'm not talking about the people that are with me tonight. I'm talking about people that blindly believe everything that's being said, everything they're being told. They just blindly believe it. And Bob, what you just said, and I do want to read a few numbers to you. I don't want to bore you with them, but I want to read them to you if I can find my particular article, because I'm also got one here that I'm going to get into about the vaccination and the fact that it possibly could be ready by November. That's what they're saying, but I'm going to get into that in a minute. Okay, here we go. The daily updates, totals by week and state. I'm not going into all that. But the daily updates and totals were, this is a weekly updates, select demographic and geographic characteristics, health disparities, race and Hispanic origin, excess deaths associated with COVID-19, enter and index and available data. I mean, it goes on and on and on, and there is a lot to this. Doris Roberts, if I keep looking at your comments, it's because I don't want to miss any, even in the middle of my reading. It's just a scam. Bingo. That's just what Bob said. I think that's probably, I even think, Judy, if you're still watching, when you posted it, I think you were thinking it might be a scam as well. Judy, I could be wrong. Bob says that the lie about them, everything, it's really quite easy. They even have white papers describing their plans in detail. Google Rockefeller lockstep. Oh, okay, you're saying Google Rockefeller lockstep. Sorry about that. I was reading that in a different way, Bob. That's a good point. And see, that's one thing I like about your comments, people. It's truly because you give out information for other people as well as for me that I haven't even thought about. So that's a great thing. But This was updated on September 3rd, today, okay? I'm going to tell you that the national death counts are based on death certificates received and coded by the National Center of Health Statistics on September 3rd, 2020. Death counts are delayed and may differ from other published sources. And it says see technical notes. There was 20-some pages of this. I did, by all means, I'm not going through 20-some pages of it. I promise you, I'm not going to bore you with all that. But it said the counts will be updated periodically. Additional information will be added to this site as available. The provisional counts to coronavirus disease 2019, COVID-19, as they put it, deaths are based on a current flow of mortality data in the National Vital Statistics Systems. Now, and they're saying that includes 50 states and the District of Columbia. All right, let's find out a little bit about these numbers. I'm not gonna go into a bunch of other stuff, because they talk about the influenza deaths and so on and so forth. But let's look at the numbers. Let's look at the real numbers. All right, as of today, first of all, excuse me again. I'm so sorry. Week ending date in which the death occurred, okay? That's number one. The total deaths. Right now, the total deaths are 171,078, 171,078. Now that's all deaths. Now the 171,000 are all deaths involved in COVID-19. Now that's what they're selling us. The deaths from all cause are 1,850,449. The pence of expected death, is 111. Deaths involving pneumonia with or without COVID-19. Okay, influenza, deaths of 176,212, or 21, excuse me. Deaths involved in a COVID-19 pneumonia, excluding influenza. Now that's what they call I don't know what number, why they figure that, but it's 76,415. Excuse me. Now, all deaths, including influenza with or without COVID, presumably, excuse me, because the reason I'm reading this funny is because they don't have these words across like you guys type. I'm reading them straight down and they're broken up. And this, says includes COVID-19. That one says 6,660. That was that number. There's your 6%. Now, deaths involving pneumonia, influenza, or COVID as of September the 3rd or whatever. It says is 277,157. Going back to the very beginning in February, if you were to read across, there were a total of 479 deaths that they said would be like the 6,660 right now. Okay, this is from the CDC. Okay? Where did they come up with that? Where did they come up with their numbers? All of a sudden, they have, because they were taken out as the middleman. I want to go on here and read. Bob says that this virus has been planned for decades. A big agenda is in play. Most people don't see it, that the train is coming. So don't take the test labeled till death from COVID. Let me reread that. Don't take test or be labeled till death from COVID. Don't take the vaccine. Don't go to the quarantine center, which are being set up as we speak. And guess what we're talking about? Something that I've wanted to say in a long time. And people will think this is a conspiracy, but I'm going to tell you something. It is not. So hang on to your hat for a minute. I want to finish reading Bob's article. It says, don't go to the quarantine center, which are being set up as we speak. And if you do, you will never see you again. These are the FEMA camps. Do you understand when I say FEMA camps? I want you to know. This goes back a long time as far as my reporting, even on radio. FEMA camps are now, many prisons in our country have been closed and reopened as prisons. They are FEMA prisons, and there is one within an hour or so from where I live. I have seen it. I know what it looks like. And you better darn well be afraid. Do not get on the train, as Bob says. If you'll notice FEMA camps, and people, you can call me a conspiratorialist, I don't care. If you redo your research, FEMA was set up to help disasters, and they've done that. But what they don't know is FEMA is a bigger organization and covers a different area. But if you notice, the FEMA camps, or FEMA, whatever you want to call them, they are set up, they've used old air bases even. Air bases, military bases that are closed, they're now used as FEMA camps. And I'm telling you something, when I say there's one about an hour or so from me, I have seen it. I've been there. I had somebody that could help me see it. You don't want to see it, ever. You don't want to be it. Janet Blazing, hi. I'm glad you could make it. Christine Grady, head of bioethics, human subject experiments, and NIH, excuse me, is Anthony Fauci's wife. You know, I read that, but I wasn't sure. I didn't follow through with that to find out. Janet, that's a good point. They're in cahoots with Bill Gates, who wants to eliminate 86% of the population, or 80% of the population, and also wants to vaccinate the world population. Who sees the bigger picture here? There, thank you, Janet. That's a great point. When we talk about Bill Gates wanting to depopulate, I have a question. With as much money as he's got right now, does he figure he's going to be the king of the world and be able to control 20% of the people that are left? So which 20% are going to be spared? I mean, these are Bill Gates. You can look it up, people. You can go to YouTube. He has said this country or this world has to be depopulated. And the only way to do it is through a vaccine. Now, when I say only way to do it through a vaccine, he definitely is pushing very hard for a vaccine for the COVID, which Bob Freuden and many others have said the same thing. This has been coming for a long, long time. This is not just a game. This is not just something that, oh my gosh, all of a sudden the flu, we got the 1918 flu or whatever. No, this was planned. This was planned because it has become a worldwide epidemic, pandemic, never mind. You know what I'm thinking. Bob says, as the Japanese and the Germans asked the Japanese and the Germans about internment camps, you are German. Bob says he's of German descent. Bob, you're right. And I know some people that definitely spent some time in the German camps during Hitler's reign. And I got to tell you, it's a horrible, horrible stories I've heard. Terribly. I can't imagine. But guess what? It's coming to our country. It's coming to our country. Now, I will be called a conspiratorialist, and I don't care. I know what's happening. I've seen it. It's been coming. It came with when HAARP first came along, and the 5G, et cetera, et cetera. It's all connected. I don't think we put the dots together, but it's all connected. Every country, Lori says, has a percentage that they want to depopulate, of course. And China especially would have, because of the fact that look at the billions of people that live there. How do they even survive? And let me tell you something, they really don't. Some of these people are living in, I can't imagine the conditions. I don't understand. I mean, yes, there's some beautiful parts of China, I'm sure, because I've seen pictures and people go there to visit, and they it's like they only get to see the good parts. They don't get to see any of the bad parts. Trust me. Judy says here they will make us sick with the pound G that they will turn up in cities. Are you referring to the 5G? I think that's what you're referring to, because you did a capital there and a pound, and I think the pound is the 5, if I'm not mistaken. Correct me if I'm wrong. But Janet likes Lori's comment on that, and I'll tell you what, I'm liking all your comments, because guess what? Janet, is Ray on? Ray, you better say hello. Anyway, okay, let me go on. Judy says, the poor and the sick, but they want us to kill each other in a race war. Oh my gosh, Judy, you are right on target. They do want us to kill each other in a race war, and it seems to be working. Although I'm hoping and I'm praying that somehow that these cities that will not accept any type of help and support will wake up and realize Chicago is one for years that has had just terrible shootings going on all the time. I mean, I know I'm getting away from our topic, but Judy just brought up an excellent point, which, Judy, by the way, and I am going to be doing a show on the violence and the rioting that's going on, and where they're coming from, how they're coming, and who's paying for it. You know, who's paying for their planes, who's paying for their hotels, who's paying for their stays and their weapons, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they've got so much division going on. And then again, what was it? Was it yesterday or today? There was another shooting by police officers with a black man that got killed, or black boy, I guess. I'm not sure, but the young man anyway. But we'll get into that. I'm going to get into that because that's going to be a show I mentioned earlier that we were going to have to do. Now, Bob says we live in a kill grid. GMO, fluoride, geoengineering, vaccines, big pharma, 5G, chemtrails. Nobody, you've talked about them. I know, Janet, you are aware of chemtrails, very well aware of them. We have there's a young lady by the name of Bridget that lives in Arizona that's really onto the geoengineering, which is chemtrails. And then you've got fluoride in your water, the genetically modified foods and stuff. And look, there's so much going on. There is now with this virus that came up with all of a sudden brand new numbers, that 94% of the people really didn't die from, or didn't really have the coronavirus. It's not a case of dying, but more the fact that 6% might have had coronavirus. That 6% had the flu. Is that what they call it? And the flu has killed many people by itself, just the regular flu, even with the flu shot. Let's go on here. Doris Roberts, the Antichrist. Well, I'm going to tell you something. we know that, I mean, at least I believe. You know, you people can believe the way you want, but Doris brought up the Antichrist. This is something that we're living in a stage of what I would call the last days. Now, I'm not a theologian, I told you that many times, but I definitely believe that we're headed. I don't know that the Antichrist is here on this earth at this point. I really don't. Maybe somebody who is more. I wish I could get Reverend Mario Sims on. He would be able to tell us. He is he's a friend of mine. He is a black man who had suffered throughout his life. He is a pastor, and he's doing wonderful work right now. I've known Reverend Sims, Mario Sims, for years, and he could tell us about the Antichrist and where we stand. And I, you know, for those of you that don't believe about that, well, you know, that's your decision, of course. Bob got 3 likes anyway, I got to tell you, from Janet, Lori, and Judy. But this is a good point, Doris. We're headed in a direction that I don't know if there's any coming, you know, bringing it back. Bob said it's no conspiracy. They admit it if they admit it if you look. Well, that's just like isn't that just like the chemtrails or the geoengineering, Bob? They finally have come out and admitted, yes, there is geoengineering going on. That is chemtrails, and they are killing off trees, plants, animals. And is it possible? I said this once before as a conspiracy thought, but the fact is, could the geoengineering be a part of this virus that the whole world got, that has affected our respiratory system? Is it possible? I think it's definitely possible, because we can kill animals. And as I've said before in my other shows, and I don't like to repeat things, but I'm going to tell you again. Here we go. When you see a bunch of dead fish up on shore, you see seals, or even maybe dolphins, whales, something has happened. And it definitely isn't by accident. And when they test the materials that have hit the plants and the trees and so on and so forth, and they find out what chemicals are in them, I don't even know all the chemicals that are in them. I can tell you, I wish somebody could name a couple of them for me, right off the top of my head, I can't. But these are killing plants, animals, and so on and so forth. And when you see it in the West Coast, especially in all these fires and these and all these dead trees that are happening, could it be because of the chemtrails? I'm asking that as a general question. Let me go on. Doris says, this is Bill Gates. Are you referring to Bill Gates being the Antichrist, Doris? I'm only asking because you're the one you did bring up the Antichrist. I would say that I can't say that because I don't know. I really don't know. I am under the impression that we will know who the Antichrist is when that time comes. I say that because I may be wrong, and somebody please correct me, but it seems to me that we were told in the Bible somehow that we would know. Or maybe I heard a minister say it. I honestly don't know. But we will know who the Antichrist is, because he will make himself known as to being the real Christ. And we have to be very careful, especially when that happens. I'm not going to get into that too deep at this point. Janet says that the things that that are going on in the world are so evil that no one believes them. That's how it's gotten away with. Oh my gosh. A normal human being doesn't have the capacity to believe something is so horrible is going on. You're absolutely correct, and that's the reason I said people that are sitting on the couch, for crying out loud, pay attention. Do some research. Don't believe me. I don't want you to ever believe me. I want you to do your own research. I'm only the reporter. I'm the messenger, and I'm giving you my opinions in many cases. In other cases, I'm giving you what's being documented, So for the Facebook police, if they want to question me, you're more than welcome, because I tell you what, I can back up what I've got. I can tell you where it comes from and which articles they came from, and even the doctors and so on and so forth that did the reports. I'm not afraid of the Facebook police, other than the fact that you might take me down because you don't like what I'm saying, period. I hope that doesn't happen, because guess what? You that are watching, the Facebook police are watching, guess what? It's going to affect you too. This whole thing is going to affect you. And maybe some of you have had it in your own family where the virus has hit. Ray Kirkus, well, it's a good thing you said hi. Ray says hi. You know, the CDC is now in control of payment moratoriums and void landlord tenant leases as well under the Trump administration. This is very bad across the board. They can find and imprison landlords for evicting tenants. Is this Hitler's Germany? Is this Russia? Is this communist Russia? I mean, what's happening to our country is becoming like a communist Russia. And we have people like George Soros, which I will talk about in another show, of course, because he's behind so much of this, it's unreal. And if you don't like that, I'm sorry, but you can believe that I'm telling you right now, there's no way that I can believe otherwise, that George Soros is not behind so much of what's going on, like what Judy had mentioned earlier. Although the fact that they want the race wars. Now, I know I'm losing people because maybe I'm stepping on some toes. I don't know. Anyway, Bob Freuden says Antifa and the Black Lives Matters are just, hey, bingo, are Soros-supported fascists. They are also supported by the governments in the blue cities, who are also aiding and abetting this criminal takeover. Oh, boy, I'll tell you what, I did a show on this, and Black Lives Matter, the real Black Lives Matter group that really wants to help black lives, is not the Black Lives Matter, the BLM, that we see on the streets rioting and protesting or doing whatever they're doing. They call it protesting, burning down buildings, killing people, or trying to whatever. That BLM, was started by 3 girls or women, whatever, that were trained to be terrorist type and Marxist. They were trained to be protesters. They were trained to be Marxist. And when they start killing and rioting and burning down buildings and burning cars and destroying people's lives, to me, that's terrorism. That's my opinion. And anyway, and the blue cities, I got to tell you, you got three states right now that want to totally secede from the United States. And California is one of them. I think there's Washington and there's one other. I can't even tell you the last one. But there's 3 states that definitely want to secede from the United States. They want to become their own. And do you know what that's going to do to the blue states or the Democrats or to whatever? What that's going to do to this country if that actually happens? Do you realize that right now our country is divided into 10 sections? I'm telling you. You can look it up. It's been that way since the Clinton era, when they tried to introduce the crime bill. Because in that crime bill was a health bill that Hillary had designed. And you can look this up. I've got the darn crime bill still in my closet in my material. That you would go to jail if you went out of your area to another doctor and another doctor treated you, he would go to jail and be fined. You would both be fined and go to jail. That was in that bill. Thank God it did not pass. Now you can do your own research on that one. Look up the crime bill and try to get the complete one. I got the one that's about that thick, and in it, I've even got it bookmarked. It talks about that crime bill and what the damages would happen, what would happen. All right, let me go on here. Judy Whiting says October 1st, we won't be able to post this stuff anymore. they will ban you from it, or from Facebook. You know, I got 2 or 3 notices, 4 notices maybe in the last few days that they're changing Facebook. I don't know. They claim it's supposed to be bigger and better, easier to see or whatever. Oh, I'll tell you what. I'm going to tell you this right now, people. And until if that happens, I will go to YouTube and do live shows on YouTube until they take me down. So, Judy, please stick with me. Anybody who wants my email or whatever, I will definitely, if you want to follow me, if that happens on October 1st, I want you to be able to be in touch with me. I want to be able to do a show on Facebook. I don't want them to, that's censorship, and that's our whole country. If we become censored, I realize they're private companies. I realize they're private corporations, that they can do what they want. They have their own right. But why censor free speech? It's not hatred speech. I'm not spewing hatred, or at least I hope I'm not. I'm trying to educate people into realizing what's going on in this world, what's going on in our country. And our country has become, I've never seen this country make a change so fast as it has in the last 10 years. No, maybe 15. And for those of you that might agree or disagree, I can understand that. Bill Freuden says, Antichrist is here among us. He will come from the Reformed Holy Rome Empire. Bob, you do come up with some very religious type of, I want to say biblical type of comments a lot of times. I have to believe that you know your Bible pretty well. You know your beliefs, and you know what's going on. I'm sad to say, as much as I will admit, I love God. I don't deny that. I will never deny that. And Jesus is my Savior in my heart. And I'm not getting into being a theologian type of situation, but you people out there may know much more than I do. And please feel free to let me know, Bob, if you are, and maybe you can get into that a little deeper, because I think I have had a feeling there's been a connection with what you're saying. I hope people are sharing this video tonight. I hope somebody has shared it, because this is an important topic. You guys are coming up with some great comments, and I want to thank you, especially on such short notice. I only decided yesterday to do this show tonight, and you guys have been great. I mean, Janet, even, who works hard, and she tries to stay with me as much as she can, but she cannot. And I know that, and I appreciate her being there. And then I've got Judy, who's and it's in a different area, and I've got Evelyn, who's in a different country even. But because the virus affects the whole world, and because of what's going on affects the whole world, believe me, this is an important thing. I just wish more people could get involved. Bob says, I believe the son of prediction. No, that's not what you're saying. Perdition will reveal himself after the great war is to come. So what you're saying is you're believing that Christ himself will reveal himself after the war. Is that right, Bob? Correct me if I'm wrong, because I do not want to misrepresent you. Let's move on. We are breathing in aluminum. Okay, this is the geoengineering. I can tell already. We're breathing in aluminum, barium, cesium, used in geoengineering. Well, no wonder our lungs are messed up, and we've got so many people have breathing issues. I'm one of them. I'm one of them that has a respiratory problem. Big time. I mean, huge. So, yes, it does affect us. Ray Kirkus says, howdy. Well, finally you said howdy right back. All right, Ray. You know, Ray, I'm glad you came aboard. I really do. I tell you what, I do read a lot of what you post, and you've got a lot of good things to say. Bob Freuden says, Ken Cordala, a leading geoengineering worked with the Pentagon and on developing okay, germ and viral delivery systems from the clouds above populations. Who knows what is in the spray mix at any given day. Okay, there we go. That goes back to the chemtrails. That goes back to geoengineering. That goes back to now, Bob, I read this, and I'm going to say this to everybody, not just Bob, because he's brought it up. I'm going to say this. I have now read and even seen situations where commercial airplanes are now also spraying chemtrails. There is a difference, people, between a chemtrail and a contrail. And for those of you that are not familiar, please look it up. You can see the difference. It's so obvious. It is so obvious it's unreal. And it just lingers and it just comes down. And when it comes down, it's just killing and destroying. And trust me, you have to do your research on chemtrails or geoengineering. I don't care how you put it. People call it conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. Not when you see dead fish, dead animals, dead trees, dead plants, people getting sick. More people have had upper respiratories than anything since chemtrails come along. Laurie says, I heard a comment that Trump has stopped the chemtrails today. The one big reason is to block the sun. There is a reason they are blocking the sun, but it will sound like crazy. I know what it is, and no, it's not sounding like crazy because I can tell you what it is before I go any further. They want to block the sun because of the climate control. They want to cool the earth down. And correct me if I'm wrong, Lori, but I'm going to go on. They're trying to kill us with the chemtrails too. There are multiple reasons for everything that is why everything is so confusing. Well, the thing of it is, we've obviously enough we got away from the virus, but this ties into the virus as far as I'm concerned. But I had heard that I don't know that I actually read it, but I did hear that Trump may have stopped the chemtrails, but I don't know if that's true or not because I haven't been looking in the sky enough lately. Somebody can tell me. I know if Bridget were here, she would tell us for sure. Anyway, Judy, and thank you for that, Lori, because that's a good point. It definitely is a good point. The chemtrails today. Judy says, directed energy weapon. Yeah, see, this is it. When we talked about this, brought this up earlier, it is a directed energy weapon that goes along with HARP. And if I could ever get Billy Hayes on, if I can get him out of he was supposed to be taken out of a VA nursing home that he's been in for 2.5 years, and they were going to put him in an assisted living, and he was waiting because when he called me the last time he talked to me, that's what he said. He worked on the first HARP towers, the first frequencies that were set up in Alaska to have weather control in case of a war. Well, that frequency from HARP is now all over the world, even though they don't use the one in Alaska as much because that's been donated to the University of Alaska. But HARP, HAARP, look it up. It is real. It's not fake. It is there. And trust me, it can do a whole lot of damage. And I don't know. People have said that the 5G is connected with the coronavirus. Well, maybe HARP is also because it's a radio frequency. I don't know. I honestly don't know. It would be a good thing to try to find out. But let me move on. I want to get your comments because to tell you what, you're doing better than I am. I'm very serious. The folks at the top of, according to Bob Freud, it says, and Bob, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. I say Freud. Please just say yes or no, and I'll figure it out. Anyway, he goes on to say that the folks at the top are not normal human beings. They are flesh vessels of demons. It's kind of like, so what you're trying to say, Bob, is they're kind of like satanic. Would that be a good term? Because the people at the top who control this country and other countries can be very evil. Now, is everybody evil that's at the top? I can't say, and I don't know. But maybe Bob, you can refer to me. Bob says he's saying that Trump has ramped up geoengineering. So, in other words, he's increased it. And again, that goes back to something that I'm not aware of. But if that's the case, shame on him, because he's just destroying his own children's life, for crying out loud. If that's the case, I mean, they're not injected with something that's going to protect them from this kind of stuff that you just mentioned. That these chemicals, Bob, the barium and the was it lithium? Was that one of them? I'm trying to go back. I don't want to go back too far because I don't want to lose my place. Okay, aluminum, barium, and deuterium. Yeah, so that those are affecting our lungs. Those are affecting our breathing. They're affecting so much. I mean, come on. But is this all tied in with this virus? And is this why they're in such a hurry to get the vaccine? Let me go on. Bob again says judges in Portland are now consider if a thief needed it, then they stole it. So they're condoning it. That's basically what's happening in Portland. The Portland city and the governor, the mayor and the governor both, they don't want peace, and they don't care. The whole city's been torn up. 90 some days. Rioting. Seattle started rioting again. Washington, D.C. because of a shooting. And no, what I don't get through my head, and maybe one of you can tell me, is I understand police have to protect themselves, but the police do know what's going on around this country with the rioting and the protesting and the burning of people's buildings, homes, and businesses that they worked for all their lives. And yet they still continue to kill black people in the back, maybe, or shoot them in the back and paralyze them. And yes, maybe they think they are protecting themselves, but do you shoot somebody in the back 7 times? Come on. I'm not, I'm sorry, but this upsets me. There are too many good cops out there for a few of them, and I know it in many cases it's a split-second thing that you have to come up with. I understand that. I have a family member that is a police officer. Okay? So I know within a split second that police officer could be dead. Because now, unfortunately, people, we have people out there trying to kill the cops. And that's got to stop. We can't let that happen. Let's just get rid of the bad cops and say, hey, now let's let the police keep law and order. I'm in favor of that. I mean, you people respect the law. I mean, you want law and order. Judy, we're going back to probably what Bob said about the people at the top being paid. I'm guessing that's what you mean, Judy, because yeah, they are. They make a heck of a lot more than you do, or me, or will ever make. This is the thing that why I don't like the idea of not having term limits. They make these career politicians need to go. They really do. But they are the ones that made the law, and now we can't even vote. We can't even make a decision as the people. We, the government, cannot. We are supposed to be the government. They are only supposed to be our representatives, but they make the laws. They say that they can give themselves a raise every year, that they have to, in fact. That's law now. And they also have to not have term limits. There's no such thing as term limits. They've already made that a law that there will not be. So they make themselves lifetime politicians. And what gets me is these states and people that keep voting these criminals right back in office. and getting back to the coronavirus, then you got somebody like Nancy Pelosi who does just exactly the opposite of what she tells her everybody else to do. She goes to the hair salon, gets her hair done, and then she blames the hair salon by saying she was set up. That's a bunch of bull. I'm sorry, but and if I'm getting upset, I don't care. I mean, it does make me angry. Dora says, there are more whites than blacks in Black Lives Matter. You are absolutely correct. You are absolutely correct. And as I said before, the Black Lives Matter movement is not to anything about protecting black lives. It is a group of 3 girls or women that started Black Lives Matter, and they admit, you can search it. Search BLM founders, and you can watch the video of them admitting they are Marxist, trained by Marxists. Don't take my word for it. They made their own video, and they make their own claims. And guess who else is a Marxist as far as I'm concerned? And I cannot exactly come right out and prove it, but I sure think that he's behind it, and that's George Soros. I think he's funding a lot of this to the point where he wants to destroy America because he hates America. And yet he's a citizen in 2 different countries, and the United States is one of them. That's a good point, Doris. You're absolutely right. There's more white, and these whites are hired people that have been flown in, put in hotels, given ammunition and guns and so on and so forth. They've been bussed in. There's so many ways they've gotten into these cities for the rioting. It isn't the people of the cities as much that are doing the peaceful rioting. They're not destroying their own cities. They don't want their cities destroyed. Come on, I mean, let's be realistic. Judy, she says, link your website. Facebook is on it. Link my website. Oh, I see what you're saying. When you're talking about, Judy, you talking about my Facebook website, link it when I make a message. Is that what you're referring to? As far as, I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. I know you were going back to the October 1st thing, where if I'm shut down from doing any videos or whatever, and people can't message, I don't believe they'll take down messaging. I really don't. They might take down the videos. That's possible. I don't know. But if that's what you're referring to, please let me know, because like I said, if Facebook takes me down for videos or for live broadcasting and taking your comments, I will, in fact, I definitely will, in fact, go to YouTube and be on YouTube, and you can still comment on YouTube. I know that for sure. And we go on, as Bob Freuden says, Facebook enjoys certain legal protections for its content. They're given liability. They are given liability projects as job. Well, yeah, they're given certain legal protections from liability for its contents. The protection is based on a unbiased, non-edited publication. They censor or edit, and you're right, Bob. You're absolutely right. They do censor and they do edit, and but that's because that's the same as Twitter, because they're privately owned, a private corporation, even though they are stock. Facebook it does have stock, but they are a corporation that can set their own rules. So I mean, how do you fight it? Who's going to start another site that can be open to anybody and have a good forum? Because Facebook, look, let's be honest, Facebook has been a great way to communicate, whether you like somebody or whether you don't, or whether you're arguing with somebody or whether you're not. It's still a great place to communicate and meet people. I mean, this is getting serious. Censorship is getting very serious, and it's getting to the point where I don't know. Bob goes on to say that aluminum is a major cause of Alzheimer's and autism. I've got an article on vaccines and it's in a stack. I wouldn't be able to find it right now, but I can tell you It was put out by a medical group that said vaccines can cause autism. And I definitely believe that's very possible. I really do. Judy says, I think some people or some paid secret police are doing a lot of the killing, making sure to film it to trigger people. Boy, that's a heck of a statement. Judy, you really have. That's a great statement. I'm very serious. I have to be honest, I had never thought about that. I did think at one point that maybe they were being paid somewhere along the line to shoot people, but to cause a riot. That because when you see some of these people that are being pulled over on a bicycle, for instance, because they look suspicious, and then they end up getting killed or shot or whatever the case might be, no, that doesn't make sense. That does not make any sense. Like I said before, I'm going to say at least 99% of the police are probably good police officers. But then you have that 1% that are out killing people. And Judy, you've got to made an excellent point. You ought to post that on so other people can say it. And I'm going to tell you something. Even Janet agrees with you on that one, and I have to agree totally too. Bob says aluminum acts as a hereditary. Excuse me, I'm not able to see that, and I'm going to tell you why. Okay, folks, when I have an issue reading, I didn't want to tell you, but because I don't want anybody thinking I'm trying to make a sob story, but I do have an issue with my eyesight. My left eye does have macular degeneration, so it's hard for me to read some of the words and read them, or I have to take my time. Okay, so please forgive me, overlook me, don't feel sorry for me. I've been blessed. I've got new glasses, and you can probably tell because they're a little darker than the others. And that's not to hide my sinus sacs under my eyes. It's just because it's supposed to help the macular not have to have such bright, like when I'm looking at the screen. But anyway, but aluminum makes fires burn hotter. That's going on with Bob's original statement there, and you're right, Bob. You see, you're not only in the medical, but you know what you're talking about, and I really appreciate that. See, these are things that I didn't even know, but I knew that aluminum. There's a lot about aluminum that people are becoming more and more familiar with or more concerned about. I can remember aluminum being used for building, like silos and stuff like that on farms, or even roofs. And in some countries, they use aluminum for their roofs. So I mean, it is. I can understand what can happen. Bob says the biosphere is collapsing. That's the reason behind the COVID. Okay, now that's a new one. I'm going to be honest. That's the first I've heard of that one. Bob, I'm going to tell you something. That's very interesting. And so what you're trying to say is, because of the fact of are you going back to the chemtrails or the geoengineering, and the fact that the sun is being cut off, and they're trying to get with this fact that we are destroying our own Earth, and they want to cut the sun off from all of this. I mean, look, these are things that not only are you teaching others, you're teaching me as well. I'm not I don't claim to know everything at all, but that makes a good point. I did not even think about that the biosphere is collapsing. So that's another real reason behind the COVID. And behind the COVID is going to be coming the vaccine that we were going to talk about. Janet says it's also Parkinson's. Oh, really? She's commenting to you, Bob, about that one. That we're talking about the aluminum and what's in the chemtrails. is causing all of this type of things that are going on. Parkinson's. I've not heard that, Janet. Thank you for reporting that. And this is not a good situation when you hear somebody talks about Parkinson's, because Parkinson's, I've known people that have it, and it's not a disease that's easy to overcome as far as dealing with it. I know they've got medicines to help it, but it doesn't cure it. That's why and I will get into that in a little bit about the vaccine, for crying out loud. That they're saying it's going to be ready by November 1st, possibly, and then Fauci says no, it won't be ready by November 1st. But what is the vaccine going to do to us? That's the whole thing. Let's go back. Bob, ever heard of weather futures? Yes, I have. Yeah, so that's what you're referring to. They're traded on the stock. Yep. If you control the weather, it makes an easy bet. You know something? You just nailed it. You just nailed it. That's just like any futures, Bob. Look, if you look like tonight, you can go on and you can already see what the futures from the other parts of the world that our market is looking at now, so that tomorrow morning, when Wall Street opens, you can see what the futures are, where they're at. So that's a great point. The stock market, if you control the weather, it makes it an easy bet. It sure does. Well, that goes back to HAARP. I believe, in my opinion, I'm just using that as an example. If HAARP can control the weather with frequency, radio frequency, what else can it do? Can it affect your mind, your brain? Can it affect your thinking? Can it make you have subliminal messages? Can it zap you? I don't know. I'm just saying. We're talking about frequencies. 5G, they say that, it's safe, but it's still a frequency. Janet says that Parkinson's is also caused by or made by chemtrails. Yes, that's what we were. By chemtrails. See, now that's something I didn't know. I did mention earlier, Janet. I think you might have heard me. That I know it affects people's respiratory, and that's why I wonder if chemtrails aren't a little bit connected with this virus. And Bob says that their high pressure heat domes they talk about are created by ionosphere heaters called like HAARP. Okay. See, HAARP goes back a ways. But if you're familiar with HAARP, you will see exactly what I was referring to and why I'd like to get Billy Hayes on if I can possibly ever do it. Because I tell you what, this man helped build the first HAARP tower. And I even interviewed him on my internet radio show, and I still have that on the archives on my internet site, on my website. And Ilana Freeland and Billy Hayes together. Ilana Freeland is very up on chemtrails. Billy Hayes is very well up on the HAARP and the fact that most of the people, all the people, if they're still alive, were told not to open their mouth. And he's at a point where he's been so sick and been in the hospital so much. When he did his show with me, he was in the hospital. So he knows, and he's told me what went on with HAARP and what the dangers of it. Bob says there are evil spirits which inhabit these folks. All evil at the top. Jesus threw the money changers from the temple 3 days later. He was crucified. Yes. That I'm aware of. I remember especially the part about him. I remember the crucifixion, Bob, of course. But what I'm talking about is I remember distinctly about how he threw the money changers, the tax collectors, or whatever you want to call them. He threw them out of the temple. He made them leave. He got rid of them. They had to go. He was angry. He was upset. And so therefore he told them to just leave, go. I wish we could do that today with these money changers. I wish we could. And the only way we can is we have to somehow save this country by getting rid of the people that are evil. And Bob, evil spirits or something that I know the biblically, you know, we know that they are there. Bob says, spoiled white kids and college professors. And going back to college professors, I interviewed a guy by the name of Paul Sutcliffe. And if you don't know who he is, I tell you what, you want to look him up. Paul Sutcliffe is his name. He exposed the fact that we have jihadist professors in our colleges here in the United States of America, and he even mentions the colleges. We have jihadist professors that are teaching our college students. So if you've got students that are in college, you want to darn well make sure what they're being taught. That's why in schools today, I mean, I've gotten way off of today's topic. I'm sorry, but you guys have helped me along here. But today, there's a school in Tennessee I know of, aware of. I don't know about other places, but I know for Tennessee for sure, that does not want its parents to be able to eavesdrop or see what's going on in virtual teaching. They don't want that. They don't want to see what's going on. They don't want you to see they're teaching your child. They don't want you to know. They don't want you to know they are indoctrinating your child. They don't want you to know that they are brainwashing your child, so that when your child comes home and says, "Mommy or Daddy, you're wrong. You're wrong. Sorry, you're wrong. Because my teacher told me." They don't want you to know what they're teaching. And if anybody's a school teacher, you'll admit that this is true, or if you were a school teacher, you'll admit that it is happening. And Bob goes on to say that these people don't care about themselves or anyone else. They have donated over 2,500 nuclear weapon tests which has contaminated the entire planet and our bodies, not even to mention Chernobyl and Fukushima. You're right. You're right. Can you imagine that stuff is still coming down? That stuff is still in the air and coming down in certain parts of the world, including the United States? There's so much involved with all of this. Is there a tie of, I don't want to be conspiratorial, but is there a tie with the virus and all of even what Bob's talking about? And what Janet has talked about, and what Lori has talked about, and what Doris has talked about, and what Judy's talked about? And this is something we have to really consider. We have to really consider this. And Judy says the bankers own the government. You're absolutely right. The world bankers that's it. There's your money changers, I'm calling them. But you're right, Judy. The world bankers own the government. They own, I'm going to tell you like I see it, the world bankers own every government. They are the dictator. They're the puppet holders. They hold the puppet strings. I really believe that. I could be wrong. Bob says they own the world. Going back to I'm assuming you're referring to the bankers, Bob, or at least to the. I must be going slow here because boy, that was 18 minutes ago. Bob says Black Lives Matters and Antifa funnel money to the DNC. Yes, they do. That much has been shown. That much has been proven. And that I have to tell you, we're going to do a show again on this, on the Antifa and BLM. Because as I said before, Black Lives Matter, as really people that really care about black lives, are not helping the black people. The real Black Lives Matter is helping. The Black Lives Matter that we're seeing in the riots, most of them aren't white, aren't black, they're white, and they're brought in out from the outside, and they're the ones that are doing the destruction and destroying black lives, homes, black people's businesses, black people's livelihoods, their children. Oh my gosh. How many of you heard about people that lost their child because some crazy idiot has driven by and shot a child in the head, a 5-year-old or 7-year-old? Just recently in my own community, a child was at a party of some kind where the car drove by and the girl had just come out of her house. I think she was, 11 maybe? 9 or 11. I don't remember exactly. She got shot in the head. She hadn't been out of the house 20 seconds. Killed her. This is evil. This is evil. And we've got to do something. We have to become something within ourselves to stop this. Bob says Trump could have done so much more than he has. Bob, he could have, but I think he's been stopped in so much more because, look, we've even got a Congress or a Senate that doesn't want to do anything. And when they were, the House and then the Senate were all Republican, they didn't do anything. The whole thing has become a fact that for all these years they wanted to either get him impeached, tie him in with Russia somehow or whatever. So, and if he wanted to use military force through let's say the National Guard or whatever to get these other cities to calm down that are rioting, then he would be called a dictator, and he would have to call martial law, and he would be, brought down on some kind of charges. So he says he's leaving it up to the governors or up to the mayors. They have to ask for help, like Kenosha did. So that's a good point. I mean, I don't know. You may have met it in a different way, but that's the way I'm taking it, Bob. And Judy says, your other one. You talking about my website? Because I can put my website down. I can give you my website. It's AmericanTruthFinders.com. And right now on AmericanTruthFinders.com, because then suddenly I've noticed that China's in the news a lot. I've left it the same as to what China owns in the United States. And these are videos. You can just click on each picture as it goes by. It's a slider. And it tells you what they own, what would happen if there was a world war with China, and different things. And these are all videos that I have put up. I've left them up there on purpose. I haven't put anything else about my shows or the virus or anything else at this point, because I knew that eventually getting towards the election that China would become an issue. China would become an issue. So if that's what you are, Judy, if I'm not correct on that, if you want something different, just private message me, okay? But the website that I have is called AmericanTruthFinders.com, and it's all just in low numbers, and that's the way it is. And I try to get people to like American Truth Finders, to go to my website and then come back on Facebook and like it, but I get a few likes, but people don't want to read the news. I have more news on my website from around the world. All you got to do is click on news, and you'll see news from all over the world. So that's something to think about. Bob says, by censoring content, Facebook is violating the law. But Bob, I have tried to research this as much as possible, and I'm finding out that, or at least what I'm finding out. I'm not saying you're wrong, and I would never do that because you may know something deeper than I do. But I have been led to understand that Facebook and Twitter, because they are, even though that they are censoring, it's because they can do what they can make the rules, because they are a corporation that has those kind of rules. I don't know. I could very well be wrong, and I'm going to look into it even a little further, Bob. That's a good point, though. In 1960, Bob says that LBJ states that he who controls the weather will control the world. Oh boy, I remember reading that one, and you're right. You're absolutely correct. And I'm telling you right now that this is the whole thing in a nutshell. Because somewhere in my head, can't get it out, but I think that the coronavirus and the whole idea about the vaccine and the numbers that have been defrauded, as far as I'm concerned, is to give us a scare, to make us afraid, to keep us afraid, to brainwash us, to make us be like little good people, good little boys and girls, and don't do anything that we shouldn't by go outside. And if you go outside and there's somebody outside, you better put your mask on. I honestly think this is all tied in together. And is that a conspiracy? I'll call it my conspiracy. How's that? Let's do that. Bob says, I don't always spell too great on the keyboard. You're doing fine, Neil. I appreciate that compliment, Bob, because it really is hard for me to read it sometimes. Doris says, you're forgiven. Am I forgiven, Doris? Okay, Bob says 80% of the GDP is based on what nature freely gives us. Yeah, resources are dwindling big time. This is a paradigm is ending. They always knew it would be. It could not be sustained. We need 5 Earths if everyone on Earth lived as Americans live. We're losing 200 species per day. That's a lot, Bob. When you say species, you're talking about of everything, right? Even some of your bugs and whatever species. I'm assuming that's what you're talking about. Bob says, many horrible things are yet to come. It may be the Bible reveals many horrors. These things must come to pass, and I agree. That's what we were told. We were told that. Actually, I think if you go to the Old Testament, we were warned that these things would come, and the New Testament just makes it a little more clearer. That's in my opinion. I could be wrong. Lori says, my daughter, 19, is totally brainwashed. Oh boy, I'm sorry to hear that. Are you referring to the fact that she is falling for the evil side of things, Lori? Because I mean that is sad, and it's got to be heartbreaking for you. It's got to be very heartbreaking. It'd be heartbreaking for any parent. And Bob says, Fukushima has no end. That's what I wanted to ask, Bob, and I'm glad you brought that up when we were talking about the fallout, and that we're still getting it. Why, when we talk about this, why is that happening? Why is that, like Chernobyl or Fukushima or whatever? Why is that? Why are we still getting the fallout? Why is there no end? This is something that's very serious because it is affecting this whole world. It's affecting America. It's affecting everything about us. And for those of you who are just joining me, welcome. We're talking, and you're welcome to join us on the discussion. We kind of got off the virus a little bit, and we're into some really deep stuff. If you want to kind of look at the comments, but I'm going to tell you right now, I'm surprised because I did give such short notice for this show tonight. I did give such short notice. Oh, I see Doris. Doris says, God, now I feel good. You're forgiven about your eyes. Thank you, Doris. I appreciate that because honestly, I do have an issue, and I didn't want to mention it, but I finally decided I better let people know what the reason is that I have issues sometimes reading things. All right, Bob says in prophecy, the next big event will be the peace government between Israel and the Palestinians. Once the Palestinians are given the West Bank and there is a sharing engagement in the temple Mount, on the Temple Mount with the Jews, the clock starts on a 7-year countdown to a regular, or I guess regulated eddy. I'm trying to read that, and the return of the Lord Jesus Christ. You know something, Bob? That's why I said we are close. Because there will be a point. There will be a point. My question, and this is a totally different topic, but now I don't want to get into it too deep, but there's so many people that hate Israel. I don't understand it. Is it the government of Israel or is it the people of Israel? Because the people of Israel pretty much are even upset with their own government, just like we're upset with our own government. So that's something we'll have to discuss sometime. Bob says incense plants, yes, okay. All living things. Those are the species that are disappearing. And you said, what was it, 200 a day? That's a lot. That's an awful lot. And then Lori says, Black Lives Matter stuff. She's going to IU and lives in Bloomington now. Oh boy. I honestly, I sympathize with you because I would not want to have to that. I would not want that in my situation. Lori, you know, all of any of us can do is pray for your daughter that she does not become radical. You know, that's really. Bob says there are 3 reasons are melting down and drilling down into the earth: spewing clouds and radiation and contaminating water, which enters the Pacific. Toys and tons of highly radioactive water every day. You know, when you have a child, and you have a little child especially, and that child ends up with a toy that they put in their mouth, we don't know what they're getting. But you're explaining that very well, Bob, that everything is becoming dangerous for the human being. We are destroying our own earth. We're destroying our own lives. It's almost like Bill Gates. You don't have to worry. It's going to come. It's going to happen anyway. You know, don't worry about your vaccine because it's going to happen anyway. And that's just all there is to it. And I'm telling you right now, you make a lot of sense with that. You really do. Bob says, count down to Armageddon. Well, and Bob, I can't disagree. I'm not, as I've said before, I'm not a theologian. That's why I said if you're much more up on things as far as the Bible's concerned than I am. But I am familiar with enough that I know we're living in the last days. We really are, and all we can do is pray. We can all pray that our souls are saved and will. This is my belief, people, that we are not going to live in paradise with our Lord Jesus Christ if we do not give our lives over to Him. This is why we are experiencing the sufferings that's going on, the earthquakes, the hurricanes, the terrible storms, the terrible diseases, the pestilence, and the things that are happening. I really do hope that you people will share this video for others to see it, because you guys have come up with some wonderful things that needs to be told, needs to be shown. And yes, I did get off topic tonight, but that's okay, because I'm only here to give you the show, and you await to make your comments. Bob said, God is angry that Israel is giving away the land God gave them. You know, that goes back to the Old Testament, if I'm not wrong, if I'm not mistaken, Bob. But when Abraham, when God told Abraham, He would give him, that Israel would be his land. his home, his family, whatever. I may not be phrasing it right, but I think you get my point. But yet we are told in the Bible in different places that we are to love Israel, to respect Israel. And maybe that's where I am confused, and I've prayed about it, and because I want to know. I want to know the real truth. That is it Israel itself, or is it the government of Israel? Is it the people, or is it the government? It's just like our government. Do we like what our government's doing? No, we don't. We're a people that is angry. We are angry people at our own government. Let me go on. Evelyn has said, sent an emoji to Bob's reply. She is crying. Evelyn lives in the Philippines, people. And I have to tell you, she's a wonderful person. Bob says, all is well. Jesus is King. We are not of this world. Do not become a part of what does or of it. What does it mean to be a stable person in a sick world? That's a good question. That's a very good question. And Judy says it's always the governments, not the people. I have to agree with you, Judy, and that's why I asked Bob. Because I'm learning as well as you are. You guys are teaching me so much, and I'm so glad that I've been blessed to be able to start these broadcasts. I feel very blessed. I may not be the best commentator by all means. I'm not trying to be. I'm giving you a platform. I'm giving myself the opportunity to let you know these are things that we should talk about. I have people that are very angry and upset with me because maybe I don't agree with every comment they make. But the point I get at is just because we disagree does not mean we can't not respect each other and respect each other's opinion and still love our brothers and sisters. That's coming from my heart. I've been on for an hour and almost 45 minutes, and you people have stuck with me. I've still got 6 viewers, but I think we should probably wrap it up at about an hour and 45-minute time limit, which gives us about another 3 minutes. I would like to know what you would like the next show to be. We didn't even get into the vaccine. We really did not even get into the vaccine tonight, which is fine. We can do that if you like later, or we can just go on with something new, like maybe the some of the other things, the rioting that's going on, and how is that going to stop, and how is this going to affect the election, for crying out loud. We did a show about voting by mail, and that one it was okay. I mean, I had some good comments. I don't mean that, and there were not that many viewers, but one of my very first shows, I had a high viewership of it and a tremendous amount of comments. And I can't remember exactly what the topic was, but I think it had to do with the violence in America. And see, Doris says, we love you, Neil. Thank you, Doris. Guess what? I love all of you. I really do. Bob says, would love to discuss the biosphere implosion and the 6th mass extinctions event. Now, Bob, I won't disagree with that one, but how would I get other viewers to understand what the heck we're talking about in order to get the viewers to get on? I mean, how would I word it? Maybe you can message me or something. Abrupt climate shift is in place. Yeah, I could use that. We could talk about the climate. I'd like to really talk about what's going on with the climate and the chemtrails and stuff like that. Would the rest of you go along with that? Do you want to do a show about the violence that's going on in America right now? Do you want to do a show about the upcoming election? Do you want to do a show about our freedoms and our rights and what's going on and what's happening to us. We'll send you some links. Thank you, Bob. I appreciate that because I need all the help I can get. If I'm going to do something, I do a lot of research. I spend a tremendous amount of time researching. I've got stacks of stuff that you wouldn't believe from other shows. And if you saw what I've thrown away from some of my first shows, you'd know what I mean. I still have this video and 2 more to still put up on YouTube. So, and then the other thing I want to ask is how often should I do a show? Just once a week, or should I do one twice a week? Because I know you people have work to do, or you have other things that you want to do or need to do. And some of you, some are farmers, some people are do other things. Maybe they have a business they go to, or maybe they are working at a job. So I don't want to interfere with that, but I want you to tell me what you think as far as should I do 1 or 2 shows a week, and what topics. I want you to all send me a topic if you have one in mind, because believe me, right now I'm thinking very deeply. We have done the vaccine and the coronavirus a lot, and that's been a big show, always. It really has. Because the vaccine's coming, kids. The vaccine is coming. I don't know what's going to be in it, but it's coming. But Judy says, Bob says, no, after the 2026. Oh, no life after 2026. Really? We should do a show about that? Because you think that might be a possibility? Is that kind of like predicting, or are you referring to if there would be no life after 2026, if we continue on the path we're going? Because no man knows what the end is going to be. No man does know. At least that's what I've always been told. And that's what, that no man knows the time or the hour or the minute. Just be prepared. And Judy says the trillionaires, will be in their bunkers. Yeah, I love that one, Judy. You're right. They've got a place to hide, but guess what? They cannot hide from death, regardless how it happens. They can't hide from that. We're born, we live, and we die. And God can't be. I don't blame God for the virus. I mean, maybe some of you believe this is what God is planning for us, and it may be, because I do pray about that. But the fact of the matter is, I don't blame him. I don't say it's your fault, God, that people are dying because of the virus. That doesn't even enter my mind. Bob says, check nature has last. Is it last or lost? On YouTube. All right, I will go to YouTube because I have to go to YouTube anyway to do some posting. But you guys are great. I love all of you. You're really helping me. You're making this so much easier. I am not trying to be a famous broadcaster. I'm not looking for the fame. I'm looking to try to educate yourself, you and me, give you your way to vent without being thrown off of Facebook or whatever the case might be. Let me go on here because Bob's got another one. He's said the ozone layer is being destroyed at the current rate. It will be depleted by 2026. No ozone, no life. Okay. Now I understand, because you are right. And the ozone layer is not good. And if you don't believe that, look at the people that have got breathing issues. Bob, they're hiding the sun. They want to continue to hide the sun. In some areas, the sun, is being hidden. It is being blocked. I mean, you still see it. The sun's there. The sun, you can still see it. But we have got a definite problem with the ozone, and it's being caused by man. It is being caused by man. That's just like chemtrails are being caused by geoengineering that wants to destroy the earth. even though they say it's to cool down the earth. They want to cool the earth down because of climate change. Can I tell you something about climate change? This is my opinion. It's nothing more than a fraudulent way to make money. This green thing that they're wanting to do. I'm sorry, because, that's the way I believe. I believe it has become fraudulent way to make money. Okay, Bob just gave us the website that we can go to, and it's called Geoengineering Watch. Okay, geoengineeringwatch.org. I will absolutely watch it. The sun is a whole other show. You've got a good point, and we will talk about that. Either way, I'm for it. And if the rest of you would like to do a show like that, maybe we can do that before, I know, there's going to be so much about the election coming up that, and I think we should be concerned about the election because it's going to affect all of us one way or the other, no matter who's elected. And I don't think we're going to end up with knowing who the person is that's going to be the president. It's going to be contested by either party, unless it's a landslide that can't be denied, which is not going to happen. And I do think that you're going to find that Nancy Pelosi may be the president as of January 20th until a president is decided. But that we can talk about at another time if you want. This geoengineering idea, I like that. I like that idea. And the idea of the sun is a whole nother show. Yep. And Judy says the oxygen is depleted and they make us wear masks. You know something, Judy? Do you know how many people have said, and I'm one of them, when I go to my doctors, and I've had to go to quite a few of them the last couple of weeks. Do you know something? When I have my mask on, because you have to wear it or you can't go into the doctor's office. I'm telling you right now, I can't breathe. I have respiratory issues. I'm admitting that. I did it to myself, but much of it I didn't do to myself, like the pneumonias. And I didn't do the blood clot on my lung. But it happened, and I am getting better. But the fact that I have to wear a mask when I go into the doctor's office, it's hard for me to breathe. I'm gasping. I can't breathe. The doctor tells me take the darn thing off. But when I'm waiting in the waiting room, I have to leave it on. And I'm sure you all do the same. I'm not the only one. And so, Judy, you're right. If oxygen is being depleted, and then they make us wear masks, how do we breathe? It's our blood oxygen. That's the thing that's the issue. It's our blood oxygen, and our blood oxygen level will drop. I had to go to see a doctor yesterday, and right after I got in, they took my blood. I told them, give me a minute. And they said they wanted my blood oxygen, and it had dropped. It had dropped to the point where I said, you're going to have to wait until I can get this mask off a little bit and take it again. But it dropped quite a bit. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to pour out my problems, because that's not it. I'm blessed. You don't know how blessed I am. Bob says, the planet is warning Neil. Methane holds exploding. Holds are exploding in Siberia. The calibrate gun has been fired. Calthrate gun has been fired. So methane, but see, that goes back to these people that want to get rid of cows, because they say that their flagellants is methane. And I'm not trying to be cute. This is a fact. But Bob, you're saying already this is happening in Siberia, which is where in a part of Russia you don't want to be. But if their methane holds are exploding in Siberia, what's happening? What's really going to happen? Lori, she says, yep, they want us to die. They want to reach their quota. You know something? They do. But you know, I don't believe that, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think God's going to let them reach their quota. That's my own personal feelings. I don't think God's going to do that. I don't think he's going to let them meet their quota. Yes, evil is on this earth. Evil is here. And as Bob says, that that these are evil people. And maybe Satan is already walking this earth. I personally can't say yes or no, but I know there's an awful lot of evil, which makes me think possibly he is. But I do believe, I honestly, truly believe, God's going to win in the long run. In the whole thing. Well, I know he is. I don't think, I know he is going to win. And we that believe and trust and walk in his grace, we will be a part of the winner. We may die in the flesh, some type of horrible, what we would think of death, but guess what? It'd be just an instant, and we would be we would be healed again. We would not have sickness. We would not have illnesses. We would not have disease. God said there'd be a new heaven and a new earth. I believe in that. That doesn't mean you have to. Bob's got another one. Says YouTube, huge methane gas craters. Wow, Bob, I've got to keep this. I've got to keep those sites to where I can get to them because I want to watch them. Judy Whiting says, "Yep," and I'm not sure what you're saying. Yep to, Judy. Let me go back and look. Is it something you said or something that somebody else said? I can't remember. Oh, wait a minute. The millionaires will be there. The bunkers. Oh, yeah, that's for sure. That was the last thing you said. Bob said, slaves wear masks. It dehumanizes people. Well, that goes back to brainwashing and making people afraid. But the fact of the matter is, if you can't go into a doctor's office without a mask, what do you do when you have to go to the doctor? And that, I mean, I'm saying that in all sincerity, Bob, and I'm not condemning what you're saying. I'm not even questioning what you're saying. Judy says they're making us a lab meat. Oh, wow. So there we go. Here we got another side of this whole picture that I said I was going to end 15 minutes ago, but you guys are great. I got to tell you. We are the guinea pig and the rats that they're testing now. Is what you're referring to, Judy, I think. I'm not putting words in your mouth. But if they give us a vaccine, we're going to be the lab meat. We're going to be the guinea pig. We're going to be the one that they test. And we don't have any clue what the vaccine is going to do to us a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, or to anybody who takes it, what it's going to do to their offspring. Whatever the case might be, we have no clue, and neither do the scientists, and neither does the government. But they are rushing to get a vaccine to get control of this virus. And I will tell you right now, I will not take it. I will tell you right now, I am not going to be a part of their guinea pig game. I'm not going to be a part. If they even think they're going to come into my home and force me to take it, I got news for them. That isn't going to happen. And I hope the rest of you will think about that, because no one is as warp speed as the president wants this to happen. To me, that's more of a political move than anything else, and I've got to be honest. When I talk on this type of an issue, I don't favor one or the other side. If I think that one side is doing wrong or the other side is doing wrong, I'm going to tell you. Because we are the guinea pigs. We're the ones that are suffering. We're the ones that get punished. We're the ones that get taxed. We're the ones that get kicked out of our homes. We're the ones that are put into these little cubby holes or whatever they want to call them. We're the ones. While they sit back, as Judy said before, they're in their bunkers. Huh. Yeah, they are in their bunkers, but guess what? They still are going to die someday. And they have to face their maker. They have to face their maker. I'm telling you right now, people. We will have another show on. You guys have been so wonderful. Stick with me. and I love every one of your comments. Bob, I will go to your links. I will bookmark them even so I know that got them. But again, send me some messages if you have any other ideas. Just go to my Facebook page, and message me like you would always message me. I welcome your comments. I welcome anything you want to say as far as what kind of show you want. I really do. I want you to tell me what kind of show you want to do. Bob has given me a couple ideas I think is good. Bob says, ask any Marine a cab. Did I say, am I reading that right? Ask any Marine a cab. Can you explain that a little bit, Bob, before we sign off? So that I understand exactly what you're referring to. I think I know, but I don't want to say it without you giving me that, what you're trying to refer to. And until you remind me, I'm going to just continue on and just say this. People, please think of a topic you want. Bob says, sorry, ask any. Okay. I'll figure it out somehow, or you can message me, Bob. Sorry, ask any Marine. Okay. A cave will be your grave. Bingo. You're right. Now, don't be sorry, Bob. Listen, it's hard to type and try to hurry when you know that when you're trying to make a comment. I understand that. But I'm going to tell you this. I've gone way over what I thought I would, and I honestly got to tell you the truth. I did not think I would get the kind of response I got tonight. And if I don't get a chance, I want to say this. If I don't get a chance to thank everybody personally like I try to, that has commented, made comments, if I don't send a message saying I thank you for your comment and participation and your support, I'm telling you now, please forgive me if I happen to forget or whatever. I will post it as always when I post my video. For those who have not seen it or did not get a chance to see it, I always try to thank those that made the comments and who participated. You are the ones that make the show. This is your show. I'm just here to help give you a platform. And yeah, I do give up topics, but that doesn't mean that we have to stay on it. And we will consider the next show. And I would like to have you message me or do whatever if you think I should just do one show a week or if I should do two a week, because there's so much going on in the world. I mean, everything. There's so much going on that makes your head spin. But I want you to be able to tell me and let me know what you think. How many shows should I do, and even what's a good night, because we'll try to balance it out. It's hard. I know it's hard. But I tell you what, I think we should call it a night before, because I know people have had to leave because they've had to go to bed. I do know that. And people have got to work. And I want to thank each and every one of you for being so wonderful, patient, and giving me all your comments. And I hope that you will share this video, well, our live broadcast, but it will be a video when we get done. And I hope that you will tell your friends that this is a show for anybody. I'm not gonna pick on anybody. I'm not gonna tear anybody apart. Oh, I might get a little testy, but that's, doesn't mean I don't like you. Or I might get a little upset with my talk and when I'm spewing out stuff. But that's not about you. It's about what's going on in my mind. So I want to thank you all again. Please, if you want, remember my website, AmericanTruthFinders.com. If you want to see what news is going around the world, you can go there and just click on news. And I do have my home page is a slider page with videos. So if you click on any of them, you'll get a video. And it is all about China right now. And you may wonder why, but you'll see why later. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being a part of the show. I'm Neil Douglas, American Truth Finders. Until next time, God bless, and I hope to see you then.